Live from our hurricane headquarters with real-time analysis from some of the nation's top meteorologists, this is Tracking the Tropics.
Breaking news on Tracking the Tropics, hurricane warnings extending south, away from the Tampa Bay area, but still significant impacts expected in the Tampa Bay area as the National Hurricane Center says life-threatening storm surge, catastrophic winds, flooding expected with Ian on the Florida Peninsula. Hey there, folks. JB here with you live in your hurricane headquarters. On the right side of your screen, WFLA News Channel 8's Justin Shecker joining us with an update from the city of Tampa. We're going to be getting to Justin in just a few moments, but the 5 o'clock update is in. There are some notable changes, so we send it right over to meteorologist Eric Stone with the very latest at the wall. Again, these models and this data just coming in, Eric, moments ago.
That's right, JB. Still a Category 3 hurricane, and it's still, it seems to be wobbling to the north, northeast, north, northeast, and then eventually to the north. So that is the official forecast, in fact, a northerly motion from the National Hurricane Center with Ian, that it looks like a Category 3 storm still, and it hasn't really increased in intensity. Still 120 mile per hour maximum sustained wind, pressure at 952 millibars. So nothing since the intermediate 4 o'clock advisory that came down from the National Hurricane Center. But the cone right now is pretty much right over the Sarasota-Charlotte County line, right around Venice or even further south. I would call this Englewood, in fact, as a possible Category 4 or Category 3 storm. Either way, a major hurricane as it moves northeastward and then into central Polk County as still a Category 1 storm right over Orlando. Can you believe it? As a tropical storm, and then pretty close to Jacksonville by the time we get to Friday. Close up again, showing you between Wednesday at 2 o'clock in Englewood, Thursday at 2 o'clock, right over Orlando, 24 hours to get a 2.5 hour, maybe 3 hour drive. So it is going to be sticking around for quite some time. All right, our own Jeff Berardelli, I love this. I've always noticed the wobbles, but I've never seen a graphic. This is our all brand new, trademarked, right? Wobble tracker. And again, this yellow line, this faded line is following where Ian has gone. The blue line is the forecast. So the forecast is going to be a straight line. Of course, the wobble, as I told you, we have a northeast turn, then it goes north, then northeast. Now it's going north again. And as it jogs slightly east of north, that's where we're noticing the track shift to the east, because National Hurricane Center has this nice straight line when really we're taking even some wobbles to the east of the straight line north, east of the straight line north. So eventually I do think, and again, the track has been trending to the east and to the south, and that is really what's been happening. Euro versus GFS, much more in agreement, but boy, that European model is called it from almost the start. It looks like the Euro brings this on shore a little bit sooner, Wednesday into the afternoon, mid to late afternoon. We'll call it 4 o'clock. GFS says, nah, we're going to sit off the coast. We're enjoying the beaches here of Sarasota County at about 3 o'clock in the morning Thursday night. While the Euro takes us toward Orlando Thursday morning, GFS kind of says, you know, I like it here in the Bay Area. We're going to stick around through Friday morning before it gets out of Polk County. Meanwhile, the Euro model takes this in the Jacksonville area by Friday morning. So again, the model consensus is this black line. This is the average, and this is what's going over Englewood. There are a lot of models that are still taking this to the west, but the most reliable average models are taking this right over the Venice area and into Englewood as that Category 3 strong major hurricane late in the day on Wednesday. And of course, we do have a couple of ensembles that are taking it a little bit further south in the Fort Myers area. Hurricane conditions likely in Pinellas, in Hillsborough, in Polk, Hardy, DeSoto, Manatee, and Sarasota counties. Hurricane force wind is likely in those counties. In Highlands County, not so much, mainly tropical storm force wind, as it'll be pretty far to the east of the center of circulation. And then further north, once you get to Pasco, Hernando, and Citrus counties, again, hurricane conditions not likely. Storm surge. Okay, storm surge warning in effect now for all of our counties' coastline from Citrus down to Sarasota. 3 to 5 foot surge possible from Citrus County to the Newport Richey area. Pinellas County and Hillsborough, 4 to 8. Once you get into Manatee and Sarasota counties, possibility of 8 to 12-foot storm surge. That is what we're looking at. But the good news is eventually once Ian does move close to the shore, the winds will be pushing the water away from our coast. Wednesday morning, you can see in southwest Florida, 2 o'clock in the morning and pretty close to the Englewood area, tropical storm force wind, the Bay Area, 8, 9, 10 o'clock Wednesday morning, northern counties right around 2 o'clock. Now let's check out the timing of tropical storm force wind and hurricane force wind, right? So as we head into the overnight hours tonight, the yellow shading, that is tropical storm force wind, 39 miles per hour. Well, we'll call it 40 miles per hour, okay? Still, the stronger of the wind offshore overnight tonight, at least the first part of the overnight hours. But again, it does look like we will be seeing some of that heavier wind by early tomorrow morning, in fact, in the Englewood area. Later on, we'll start to see hurricane conditions, in fact, in the Englewood area late Wednesday morning into the early part, I would say the early part of Wednesday afternoon, Sarasota, Manatee County by the middle part of Wednesday. And then as we head to Wednesday evening, now this red will shrink because the storm is weakening, being over land. And look at that. We don't really see hurricane force wind in the Tampa metro area. In fact, we still see it tracking further inland around Lakeland and also into Polk County. So this track a little bit better for us here in the Bay Area. But again, what we're looking at is this red track versus the orange, which means we will pick up a lot of rain. We are expecting rainfall amounts 12 to 18 inches. Some of us picking up nearly 2 feet of rain with this scenario, as you can see. And again, as I show you the future radar, you can see that the storm will be moving in, the rain bands increasing as we head into the overnight hours, and the heaviest rain coming Wednesday into Thursday. As you can see, the northwest and west side of this storm, which is pretty rare, is showing the greatest amount of heavy rain and windy conditions. JB.
All right, back here with you live in your hurricane headquarters. Our meteorologist Q&A is coming up. We're going to let Eric catch his breath. Just look over the 5 o'clock update one more time as we answer your questions live with hashtag HeyJB or hashtag HeyEric. But first, I want to get over to WFLA News Channel 8's Justin Schecker, who's joining us in Hillsborough County. Justin, explain what's going on in Tampa. This new update comes down, and I would imagine that that things obviously looking better for Tampa specifically, but by no means is Tampa out of the cone of uncertainty just yet.
Mary O'Connor, the police chief, will be behind me at the podium for a news conference, the latest on the city's preparedness for Hurricane Ian. Now, this morning, the police chief said they were drafting a curfew order. We could learn when that will take effect and more details when that press conference begins. The other big question is, will Tampa Electric proactively shut down power in parts of downtown? The company said they're evaluating that option, so we'll see if we get answers on the curfew and whether TECO will shut down power as a precaution ahead of the storm, JB.
What is the likelihood of a curfew in your estimation, Justin? So I know that it'll take Mayor Castor here about 15 minutes time live in Jackson Tropics. Our audience will learn that in real time about the curfew. What are you hearing from there?
Well, earlier officials said it would come sooner than later, but obviously that new track at the 5 o'clock update is encouraging for our area. So we really can't answer that question for sure until the news conference gets underway again about 5:30.
Again, Justin Schecker joining us live. Apologies for the audio problems there, folks. We did have an audio mix-up. One more time, Justin, just kind of break down exactly what we know at this hour as far as Hillsborough County and City of Tampa preparations for Hurricane Ian.
We know the mandatory evacuations are in place for zones A and B, and that affects about 390,000 people living in low-lying areas near the water throughout Hillsborough County. Again, waiting to hear if they are going to enact that curfew tonight, and TECO has talked about proactively shutting down power in parts of downtown as a precaution. Otherwise, I can tell you, JB, we drove around Davis Islands and Ybor City and saw several business owners boarding up, not taking any chances. We know there's been heavy traffic on 275 heading to I-4 to get out of the area. So people are heeding the warnings, but that last update that Eric just gave us is encouraging yet. Not out of the eye of the storm completely, and we'll see what Mother Nature brings over these next 24 to 48 hours.
Justin, what's the mood in Tampa? This has been a roller coaster, and I don't mean that because we've got a lot of theme parks in our area. It has been a roller coaster of emotions. Tampa, when I was going to bed last night, I was looking at it, and Tampa was right in the middle of the cone of uncertainty. And now, our audience on Tracking the Tropics knows that the bad side, the dirty side of the storm is really the east side, even though Jeff Beardelli and Eric have been breaking down how the northwest side could see anywhere from 12 to 24 inches of rain, which is a big deal for the Tampa Bay area, of course. But what's the mood like right now in Tampa, even in the room that you're standing in?
Well, I can tell you from yesterday, JB, I checked out one of the sandbag sites over at McFarland Park. The city of Tampa said today that all that sand ran out, that they were up to capacity. And the line must have been an hour, 2-hour line weaving through cars just to get those sandbags. So people are heeding the warnings, doing what they can to protect their property. And then just driving today, though, up South Howard Avenue by Bayshore, it felt a little more emptier. It felt almost maybe days during the pandemic with not as much traffic. You could see a lot of restaurants, businesses like Starbucks already shutting down today. So people are heeding those warnings. Not a ghost town per se, but definitely South Tampa felt a little emptier than usual.
Justin Checker is one of many reporters, folks, that we have at WFLA News Channel 8. Pretty much our entire reporting team is preparing to go out into the storm and to cover this storm in real time. So this time tomorrow, folks, we're going to be going to various camera crews with reporters in front of the camera with various shots like Justin Checker, like Masa Saidi, like Walt Buteau. Some of our YouTube subscribers might know those names very, very well. Justin, Masa, Walt, covering a big story last year that, of course, we streamed endlessly on YouTube Live. Justin, I want people to be able to follow you as you make your way around the Tampa Bay area. What is your assignment for tomorrow, and where can people follow you on social media for things like videos and pictures, and where you're going to be?
So for now, me and my photojournalist, AJ Morgan, we are assigned to Hillsborough County. So we'll be here at the EOC, South Tampa, maybe go out to the Riverview, Ruskin area. So we are focused on Hillsborough County, the largest county here in the Tampa Bay area. Anyone can follow me on Twitter at WFLA Justin or Jay Shecker on Instagram. I'll be posting pictures, updates, information on both those social media accounts over the next few days.
Justin Checker reporting live from the city of Tampa, folks, and we'll let Justin get back to it. That press conference with Mayor Jane Castor is coming up here shortly. Justin, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And I think I say for all of our commenters out there, stay safe out there, my friend.
Appreciate it, JB. Talk to you later. Take care.
All right, everybody. Back here with you live with Eric Stone. JB here with you live in your hurricane headquarters. Justin, a class act, one of the best. Let's talk again about the 5 o'clock update as we look here at the real-time wobble tracker. The most notable change in the 5 o'clock update to you, Eric, is what exactly?
Since we were given an update at 4 o'clock, obviously the pressure went down 3 millibars. I'm noticing that dry air coming in the south side, kind of breaking up the eye wall a bit on the eastern side of the storm. That's interesting. Maybe it's going through what we call an eye wall regeneration. That's probably what's happening. If that is the case, then, in the next 6 to 12 hours with the updates, we'll start to see some strengthening. Still moving to the north at 10 miles an hour, and it really hasn't gained strength. I guess the cone being a little bit further to the south and to the east would be, what I'm talking about as the biggest difference. Let me advance to the next graphic, and we'll show you a close-up of the cone. And again, it was pretty close to Venice, and now it's very close to, it's actually right on Englewood. In fact, Wednesday looks like 8 o'clock in the evening, making landfall yet again, or is that 2 o'clock? Looks like that's 2 o'clock. Making landfall earlier in the afternoon. The European model is a little bit faster in moving this on shore compared to the GFS model, which is good news, but it's still slowing the storm up. So it does look like, once again, we've got a good 24 hours maybe even 36 of prolonged tropical storm force wind in our area. And the rain.
Our Tracking the Tropics audience knows what I'm about to say, but we're going to start the meteorologist Q&A portion of the program. You see on the black stripes underneath our names on the left and right side of your screen, you see hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyEric. All you have to do is use one of those hashtags with your comment, either in the Facebook Live or YouTube Live comment section, and we can pop it up on screen and address those comments live. Milagros Hernandez, can they get tornadoes in Pasco County? You better believe it.
Yeah, you know, almost every county in at least in the peninsula, every county all the way up to Tallahassee and even points to the west could get tornadoes out of this, because this will be a landfalling hurricane. There's a lot of friction, and these storms that move over water and they encounter the friction of land, it does create that rotation, and those spin-ups do occur, and it doesn't matter what county you're in. This is such a broad area storm that every county down here could get it. Bay Area, Southwest Florida, Northeast Florida. So yes,
as we await some of the comments coming with hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyEric, the real-time wobble tracker is here on the center of your screen. Let me just remind our audience exactly how this works. The faded line is where the storm, the previous path, the future path for the storm is that blue line, and we're monitoring it to see if it stays on that line. If the eye of the storm goes off that line, that is a wobble. And this is semi-important now. It is significantly important this time tomorrow, when we're talking about the wobbles right off the coast, because look, a wobble in one direction or another could be the difference between one city or one town versus another city or another town. These wobbles really do matter. It's funny to say the wobble tracker, but quite frankly, it's extraordinarily important, especially as the storm gets closer to our coast. Can we put up the forecast track, and can we put up the 5 o'clock update, and we'll come back to the wobble tracker in a bit.
Yep.
We can show this on our screen here, everybody. Max winds 120 miles per hour, pressure 952 millibars. We're on Bombo Genesis watch, and movement north at 10 miles per hour. Deborah Wood wants to know, hashtag HeyJB, my sister left Port Charlotte and headed to Miami. Is it safe in Miami?
Yeah, it's much safer in Miami. In fact, I don't even expect tropical storm force wind in Miami. Like I said, some people have asked me around here saying, hey, I'm going to evacuate. I got friends and family. Where do I go? And I said, go to the East Coast from Fort Lauderdale toward Miami. I wouldn't go along the immediate coast. Not you're really going to get a storm surge, because you're not. But still, Plantation, Sunrise, Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood, Davie, anywhere in that general area in southeast in Broward or Miami-Dade County, then you should be fine. Yes, you'll get some rain, and again, you could see a brief isolated tornado, but anywhere in the state, anywhere in the peninsula, all the way up as far north as Tallahassee, could be seeing an isolated tornado out of this.
Can I share with you the most noteworthy thing about the 5 o'clock update for me?
Yeah.
I'd like if you can bring up the GFS and the Euro. When you brought this up, I could not believe it. And I'm not talking about the GFS and the Euro being in consensus. To me, that's not all that surprising, because yes, the timing here. Everyone pay close attention to this for the next few seconds, okay? The GFS and the Euro, the GFS is in green, the Euro is in red. Some agreement here as it, continuously, the GFS and the Euro have continuously, focused in on this area to the south of Tampa Bay. Now play it.
So your 4 o'clock and Euro is made landfall in Venice.
Watch this.
Now you're at 4 o'clock in the morning, and GFS has made landfall in Venice. It's about a 12-hour difference between the Euro and the GFS. So
we have a comment from Travel for You. I thought this had a hashtag. It does not, but if the Euro and the GFS model are different, then which one should we follow then? Let's go back to it on screen.
Well, here's the thing.
Look at this.
The paths of the Euro and GFS are almost identical.
They are, but the timing.
But GFS has been so inconsistent. Just a few days ago, GFS had the storm hit New Orleans, while the European had it nailing Tampa Bay. So the Euro is the one I would follow, because this is the one that's been more consistent. We'll continue to put it in motion, and GFS has, another 12 hours or 14, right where the Euro was 12 to 14 hours earlier, right around Lakeland, right? But I don't think by Friday at 8 in the morning we're going to have a hurricane or tropical storm still in Polk County. That would be crazy. That would be over 2 days of tropical storm force wind. I really believe the European model in this case.
I happen, not a meteorologist, but I happen to believe the Euro too. And I hope the Euro's right, because if the GFS is right, this has the storm coming, making landfall somewhere, Sarasota County, maybe Manatee County, and parking its rear end right on top of those counties and just swirling and taking its precious time while dumping countless inches of rain and bringing such incredible hurricane force winds to that area. The GFS just sitting right on top of our neighbors to the south. Of course, we're here in Tampa, our neighbors to the south. That's really bad. We do not want the GFS to be true. We want the Euro to be true. And look at the time difference, as Eric noted. Friday morning, the GFS still has it right on top of Orlando. The Euro has it near Jacksonville. That is a massive geographical difference when we're talking about a hurricane model at this stage in its progression. So I'm really surprised by this. And so which one to follow? Look, I think Eric is saying it. I'm going to say it too. Yeah. We have seen more general consistency and accuracy so far with the Euro, and I think that one right now is the one to follow. But the GFS cannot be completely discredited, because previous to Ian, it has had some successes in the past that you can't discount. So the GFS and the Euro help us with some clarity when it comes to forecasting what a storm is going to do over hours and over days. Yaya, one of our moderators wants to know, #Hey Eric, do we know how wide the eye is right now?
I would say it's probably about 20-25 miles right now. Later on, I can take a ruler and not a physical ruler, but in our system we can measure. But it's looking like 20-25 miles right now.
Yeah, and how big is that? Is that pretty average for the eye of the storm?
Yeah, 20 miles is typical. But you could see there's some dry air in the southeast portion. Do you see that?
Where?
Like the eye is kind of broken up.
Yeah, I do see it.
Right
Yep.
there, right there. So you almost see like this little arrow pointing.
Yep.
I do believe, and this happens where they call it an eye wall regeneration, meaning the storms around the eye they're disorganized, but they organize themselves in a better manner, and it actually allows the storm to be stronger once the eye wall does regenerate, and we start to see those yellows and reds, the deep convection around the whole center of circulation.
The real-time wobble tracker. We'll be coming back to it. Mayor Jane Castor speaking live in Tampa, Florida.
Basically, stall right across from Tampa Bay, as we discussed earlier, would really be catastrophic with the amount of rain, the storm surge, and no place for the water to go, as we are already saturated. So our plans have gone very, very well. Our preparations, our Parks and Recreation passed out almost 100,000 sandbags. We opened up 16 Parks and Rec locations for children whose parents had to go to work. Those facilities have all been closed down for the storm. The evacuations, I've been in contact with FDOT, talked to Greg Slater with Thea, and they have seen record numbers of people up on the Selman Expressway going out eastbound. I-4, as you know, has some traffic congestion going east, and the same thing with north. So people are heeding the warning to evacuate to safer grounds. So we are doing well. We have had the officers go to all of the mobile home parks in the evacuation zones. So we feel very confident about that. People are going to the shelters. We're getting them transportation there. So we are prepared. We are having, as I stated before, conversations with the fuel suppliers to make sure that we've got those up and running. We had our code enforcement go out. We have just over 100 ALFs and nursing homes in the city of Tampa. They went around to each one of those, not only ensuring they had the generators, but that those generators worked. We offered fuel for some of the ones that were a little low, and the city had agreed to top off those generators in the event that they need those. Tico is here to talk about some of the earlier notification that they were going to shut down some of their facilities, and so they will talk a little bit more about that. But first, I will have Chief Tripp, our emergency manager, come up and give a few details.
Thank you, Mayor. Barbara Tripp, Fire Chief for Tampa Fire Rescue, as well as the Emergency Manager. As the Mayor has stated earlier about the changes with Hurricane Ian, that still does not stop us from preparing for the worst. We will receive some rain, we will receive some wind, so we still need to make sure that everyone is prepared. If you are still in the evacuation area, you must make sure that you follow the rules that we want you to evacuate safely. This storm could make another change, which we're hoping it doesn't, but you just need to make sure you're prepared. Once again, we have been communicating with local agencies for assistance. We have been communicating with the community. We have a lot of resources out there available to the community, so we want to make sure that everyone take heed to the resources that's available. Make sure you take care of your loved ones, your kids, and your pets. We have shelters that are open for special needs. We have shelters that are open for families to make sure that you are secured. We don't know what this storm is going to bring. And as the Mayor stated earlier, it shifts. Good for Tampa, but once again, we just hope it doesn't shift again. And once the storm do start coming in, once again, 911, first responders will not be able to respond if the winds or sustained wind are greater than 40 miles per hour. So for your safety and our safety, we ask you to continue to pay attention to the news and all the media that's out there for you all to stay safe as well as keep us safe. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Just a couple of points to add to what Mayor Castor and Chief Tripp mentioned. Our school shelters are up and running, and they are being staffed with Tampa PD school resource officers. So the security at the shelters is of the utmost priority for those that have evacuated. We actually did visit Zone A and Zone B, which were the two mandatory evacuation zones, 3 times. So we're still urging residents to evacuate safely. There is still plenty of time to evacuate to one of the shelters. The transportation options are available until 7 p.m. this evening. That is Hart and Uber, which are both free of charge. So if anybody wants to get to one of the shelters, we are obviously have those opportunities available to us. The one thing I do want to mention is that since the state of emergency was announced, that any of the crimes that are committed in the burglary or theft realm that are committed during the state of emergency, that the penalties are enhanced. And I just want to stress that at this point, that if you commit a burglary or a theft during a state of emergency in Hillsborough County, a burglary would normally be a 2nd-degree felony, and it will be upgraded to a 1st-degree felony. And a 3rd-degree felony, theft or burglary, would be enhanced to a 2nd degree. So I just want to stress that we are obviously protecting our businesses and our residents' homes from burglary and theft, and I just would recommend that people do not commit those crimes because of the enhancements. The other thing I just want to mention as far as the law enforcement is concerned is that if you are arrested for one of those crimes, you also have mandatory appearance in front of a magistrate before you're able to bond out, and that's going to be delayed as the courts will be closed for the next couple of days. So again, Tampa PD is ready, willing, and able to assist anybody that needs last-minute preparations, but we do, stress that we have resources available to you, and it's very important that anybody that is still in the evacuation zones stay abreast of any changes that happen with the track of the storm. I'd like to announce Councilman Joseph Citro here, who's going to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Chief. I'd like to thank all of the family members of the City of Tampa. All the departments have been working very, very hard to keep the citizens safe. But I'm going to have to repeat the words of Chief Tripp. If you are in a mandatory evacuation area and this storm takes a different course, please, if the winds get too strong or the streets get flooded, first responders may not be able to get to you. Please, if you're in an evacuation zone, please evacuate now. And the City of Tampa is working hard to keep you and your family safe.
Hi, Sherry Jacobs, Tampa Electric. Tampa Electric is bringing in thousands of workers to help restore power after the storm passes. We have 3,500 line workers, tree trimmers, and damage assessors. Some of them have already arrived, and the rest will arrive tomorrow to help us restore power as quickly and safely as possible after it's safe to work when the storm passes. Earlier today, we were evaluating the risk in our downtown electrical grid, and we were considering doing targeted interruptions in two parts of downtown, the western side and the southern tip. Happy to report that with this change in Hurricane Ian's track, the risk of storm surge has diminished significantly. So we no longer, at this time, are planning to interrupt the power to any customers in the downtown area, including Davis Island and Harbor Island. Now, this is, of course, a dynamic storm. Things could change. We may reevaluate that in the future, but for now, there's no plans to interrupt the service downtown.
All right, before we open it up for questions, one of the things I want to just let everyone know is that with our homeless population, that we have been focused on that as well. And so we have provided transportation for all of the residents at Tampa Hope, which many of you know is our wraparound residential services for those individuals that are homeless. And we have moved all of those individuals to a shelter. And we have our officers and our homeless liaison, homeless reach out teams that are out in the community trying to encourage our homeless population to transport to one of these shelters. Also, I believe there was a little confusion about the curfew. The conversation was if the original storm prediction was to come to fruition, that being 10 to 15 foot tidal surges and 20 to 30 inches of rain, that we would, based on the outcome of that storm, put a curfew in place, but that curfew would not be put in place without conversations with Hillsborough County. So I think that was misinterpreted as if curfew was going to be placed imminently. So with that, we will open it up to any questions. Yes, and we are, as you know, as we stated before, mandatory evacuation still allows individuals to make personal choices, and so we're doing all we can to encourage individuals not only to evacuate, as you've heard Chief O'Connor talking about the officers visiting the evacuation zones, but also having those conversations with individuals that may be needing shelter. And the issue is that once the winds get so high or the water's in, then we don't have the ability to transport anyone anywhere. So we'll continue to have those conversations until we can. Yeah, everything is a possibility, but right now with the trajectory, if we don't have the damage that was predicted before, and entire neighborhoods are impacted, then there won't be a need to put a curfew in place. If we can block off neighborhoods that have been evacuated and sustain some damage, if we feel confident with the security that TPD can provide, then there won't be a need for a curfew.
Obviously, the tone of this has changed since the track has changed. How do you, first of all, keep people understanding just because the lines on TV or on the internet are different, that this is still something that could change back,
right?
Still something that could hit us hard. And my second question is, have you been satisfied with the patrols you've made around the different areas, low-lying areas, that people have been obeying the evacuation?
Yes. Well, first of all, again, we can't take these predictions as the gospel. They weren't accurate, completely accurate. No fault of those that are providing the predictions. They have data that's available. It's always subject to change. And every hurricane that we've had, we've seen this. The issue with this particular hurricane isn't necessarily the wind velocity and the damage that the wind's going to do. It's the water. and that you have to be away from. You're not going to stay in your home and be safe from 10 to 15 foot tidal surges. And we're still this is a very serious storm. Even if it stays on the current trajectory, we're not coming out of this unscathed. There is going to be widespread flooding in our city. We're already saturated. As I said earlier, we had our typical summer thunderstorm last night and we had to shut roads down throughout the city. So we are saturated. We're going to try to get rid of this water as fast as we possibly can, but there is going to be flooding. So individuals have had ample time to take care of their possessions, and they've got a few more hours, but they need to get out of those flood zones. And yes, I've been very satisfied. The police department, I think you indicated that they've made 3 rounds through these locations, and there are individuals that say that they're going to stay. But as I said before, in my 31 years of law enforcement, I've never talked to anybody who stayed through a major hurricane that hasn't said, I'm never doing that again. So people that think that this might be something frivolous, that they can just, trudge through, that's not the case. Mother Nature wins every single time. And if you're facing not only the high winds, but it's the water. When that water comes in, you're not going to be able to get out. We've seen that in New Orleans. We've seen that in Houston. We've seen that in so many other locations. His message was that anything that we need, they are prepared to provide. They've already staged resources. I talked to the regional FEMA director, probably about an hour and a half ago, who is staging up in the Emergency Operations Center in Tallahassee. And again, reiterated what the president said, that we are here for you, clearly hoping for the best, but understanding that any of these storms that come into the Gulf, it's going to hit somebody's town. And so they just wanted us to know that they are there for us and they'll be here for whatever our needs may be.
No, not yet, and we hope to keep it that way. Yeah, so if it's a burglary or a theft-related offense, the felonies get up 1 degree. So a 3rd-degree felony would be prosecuted as a 2nd-degree felony would be prosecuted as a 1st degree. Correct. Yeah, I mean, depending on what the charge is, if it's a 3rd-degree felony and it's one of those two, because, depending on the burglary theft amount, it changes whether it's a 3rd or a 2nd-degree felony. So either way, if it starts out as a 3rd, it'll be a 2nd. If it starts out as a 2nd, it'll go to a 1st.
What resources, if any additional, I know you can't get into super specifics, but will you have more officers out there patrolling, making sure that all hands are on deck, that people don't try?
Yeah, all TPD scheduled leave time was canceled. So we do have all hands on deck. Tampa PD is currently on an Alpha Bravo deployment, which means the entire department is working either 12 hours on or 12 hours off. So everybody, it's all hands on deck. Everybody's in a uniform. Everybody's on the street, ready to go. We have the department separated. We're kind of used to this, large scale operations. So you either have the hurricane branch or the patrol branch, but we are answering calls for service as usual, and we're ready, willing, and able to respond to any emergency.
And give them an idea how many additional uniform officers, the detectives that'll be out there.
Yeah, so we have approximately 1,000 officers on the street over the course of the next couple of days. Normally we would have right in the neighborhood of around 600-ish. So there's about 300 to 400 additional resources on the street in uniform as we speak, ready to assist. And the Alpha Bravo deployment, the 12 on, 12 off, does not cease until we know that post-hurricane, recovery and relief efforts are satisfied. For the purposes of this, it's the statewide state of emergency. I mean, that's really anybody's guess at this point, depending on where the track goes. You know, obviously, we're not going to go to work until, you know, it's safe to go to work, so it could be anybody's guess.
I would have to say yes a little more because, you know, when all you hear is catastrophic and devastating, based on the positioning right at the mouth of our bay, you know, that's not something that you can take in any way, shape, or form as being positive. So again, we don't wish anything negative on our neighbors to the south, but not to be in the Tampa Bay area with that shallow water and those storm surges, you know, is the best prospect for the residents in Tampa Bay.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Thank you, guys. Much appreciated.
Well, it would.
All right, folks, that was Tampa Mayor Jane Castor speaking live, as well as some other officials going over the very latest. And yeah, that look right there from Jane, I think that's all of us. That's this right here. The what a whirlwind, pun not intended, for Tampa that is not out of the cone of uncertainty yet. But if you're Jane Castor, there is no doubt in my mind that you are breathing a bit of a sigh of relief because Tampa right now is going to see impacts, but they're not on the side of the storm that is the really bad side of the storm to be on, Eric.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's a storm with such a large surface area that we are going to be in tropical storm force wind at least from Wednesday late morning into the early afternoon all the way through Thursday evening into the overnight hours of Thursday. So we're looking at 24 to 36 hours possible of prolonged tropical storm force wind with several hours of, at least in the Tampa area, hurricane force wind gusts, if not hurricane force sustained wind. But yes, it could be a lot worse for the Bay Area. What would have been worse is if this storm was 50 miles, 75 miles to the north, right? And it moved right into Tampa Bay. That would have been the worst case scenario because you would have gotten the storm surge. Much of Tampa would have been flooded with the bay. Much of Pinellas County would have been flooded. And, of course, all of Manatee and Sarasota counties. Now, at least, you know, from the Bay Area northward, storm surge, not as much of an issue, but rainfall is going to be an issue. I mean, imagine just standing outside and being pummeled with rain and wind for 24 to 30-something hours. That's crazy, you know? Trees and power lines and some non-sturdy buildings, windows, they're not going to withstand that.
Adversely, we're starting to get a better idea as the area that is going to get really walloped by this storm. And correct me if I'm wrong, but based on everything that we are seeing, the area that I'm looking at here on our maps, the area that is really going to get hit hard based on the current models, and again, wobble's still possible, is Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte, Northport, Englewood, even South Venice, and also really, I mean, Cape Coral, Fort Myers, part of that as well. But I'm really looking at Port Charlotte and Punta Gorda as being an area that is going to get hit really hard, a good right hook to the jaw.
Right, definitely. And not only that, but even points southward, Sanibel, Captiva, Fort Myers Beach, Estero Island, Fort Myers, Cape Coral, those areas, especially Cape Coral with all those streams and canals.
You see them on a map.
Yeah. And there's so many people that have houses with the canals in their backyard. I mean, all the water from the Gulf is going to be pushed into the Caloosahatchee River, gets pushed into canals in Cape Coral, and it's going to be a huge flooding mess there.
It is. Let's remind our audience, in just a few moments, we're going to be taking your questions and your comments using hashtag KJB or hashtag HeyEric. We're going to start to file in those comments and questions now. Masa Saidi, I believe, is going to be joining us live. Yeah, I think around sometime in the 6 to 6:30 time frame, excuse me. And I believe she's going to be joining us from Sarasota Bay. What is Sarasota Bay going to look like this time tomorrow, Eric?
Well, I mean, there will be some storm surge just because the system will still be blowing water from the south to the east and into parts of Sarasota County, Sarasota Bay, parts of Manatee, parts of Hillsborough, but not nearly as bad with this given track. So parts of Sarasota Bay. Now, given the high tides are right around, I believe, 3 o'clock or so, between 3 and 4 o'clock in many of these areas, from Clearwater Beach southward toward Longboat Key, Siesta Key, even points south of that. So, unfortunately, the highest of the tide will be right when this system is about ready to make landfall.
I've got this one coming in. Use hashtag Hey Eric or hashtag Hey JB, and we'll animate your comments on screen, and we'll go over first to D Duke UNC 12 hashtag Hey JB. Please talk about the impacts to Punta Gorda. I mean, right there in an area that's going to get slammed.
Right. So when Tropical Storm Ada, do you remember that storm
I do.
down
Yeah,
in
we were
Punta
live for
Gorda?
it.
That one took my flip phone away, JB. I had that flip phone all the way to 2020.
You did? You had a flip phone till 2020?
I sure did. I sure did. But my station had given me an iPhone. So I had something that I could plug into when I was out and about. But I do remember going to Englewood and getting pummeled with the rain and wind from Tropical Storm Ada. And then driving along, what's that road? El Jabin, 773, whatever that road is. From Englewood.
777?
No, it's not 770. It's 770 something.
6?
Yeah, it might be.
I think
It might be.
6. I'm looking at the map.
Yeah, 776 that goes toward El Jabin area. And we drove, my cameraman and I, and we parked, and we were doing a live shot. And all of a sudden, the Mayaca River's right there.
Yeah, it is.
All of a sudden, there's water on the road, and it was dark out. And we're looking, and I'm like, dude, the Mayaca River, look, it's flooding, right? It's Tropical Storm Ada. It's coming over our banks. And, I mean, our boots were getting drenched. And so eventually it was like, all right, we got to get out of here. So we went to downtown Punta Gorda, and a lot of the downtown area was flooded and underwater. And we're watching people trying to just go as fast as they can through this water, and some of them getting stuck. And we're like, why are these people doing that? So when it comes to Punta Gorda, especially with a storm like this, there's going to be a lot of, I hate to say it, there's going to be a lot of flooding in the Punta Gorda area. The Mayaca River, I'm sure it's high now, right? I mean, we had a pretty rainy season, a rainy September. It's high now, and the water being blown into Charlotte Harbor, being on the south side of the storm, it's just going to create havoc for anyone anywhere near waterways. So yes, Punta Gorda. Now, Punta Gorda is big. The airport is way east of I-75. So if you live in that area, then it won't be as bad because you're not going to be getting that storm surge and the river levels flooding that far east. But in downtown Punta Gorda or points a lot of people live right there on the waterway in western portions of Punta Gorda, and there's definitely going to be some pretty severe flooding in that area.
We've got Governor DeSantis standing by. He's speaking now. He has spoke quite a good amount today. So I'm just going to quickly put a poll in YouTube Live if you'd rather us to continue our coverage or if you would like Governor DeSantis. Give me just 1 second here, folks. Can you talk about timing in the meantime here, Eric? 'Cause
Right.
I know timing is important.
Yeah, as you can see, it looks like the timing maybe a little bit sooner than later compared to the last advisory, maybe around 6 o'clock or so. We'll start to see that landfall right around the Venice/Englewood area. And between then and 2 o'clock, it's not even in Polk County yet, right? So that is a good 8 hours or so just getting through Sarasota County. I mean, even when I'm stuck in traffic on 75, it doesn't take me 8 hours to get through Sarasota County. So this is a slow mover. That means a prolonged period of rain, a prolonged period of wind, and a prolonged period of bashing of those those waves, the Gulf of Mexico inundating, especially Sarasota County southward with that storm surge.
Okay, so we're going to let our votes come in and give it another 30 seconds. We're letting you know that we can go to Governor DeSantis or we can continue the live Q&A. Let me make this clear. Governor DeSantis is already streaming on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. We always make those press conferences available, but we've heard from DeSantis several times today. He's going around to different areas and just making sure that those areas know that these resources are available and the state has their back as far as the county or the municipality that he is in. So I'm waiting for the results to come in, another 15 seconds, and if DeSantis is the choice, we'll go over to DeSantis. Otherwise, we'll stay here with you live with our Q&A. Really quickly, can we go to that wobble tracker? Is that possible? Because we've got Nick
right
in our comment section asking about it. Any wobbles? Watching? No.
I'm not really seeing it.
Staying right on that line. So no wobbles to report right now, but the wobble tracker will be a big part of our coverage going into tomorrow. We have received more than 500 votes. The vote is for the Tracking the Tropics Q&A to continue, and so we will have that continue, and we'll continue to do the live Q&A here. #HeyJB, #HeyEric. We appreciate you folks sticking with us here on WFLA Now and on Tracking the Tropics so that we can answer as many questions as humanly possible. Let's get to M. Moo. It's a #HeyEric comment, and I don't know if this is related to our cow conversation earlier, but probably
I don't
not.
think so.
Probably not. Same track almost exactly as Hurricane Charlie. Do you agree, Eric?
I think this one's coming a little bit more from the south rather than from the southeast. But, in regards to this north, I think Charlie was more of a, coming in from southwest to northeast. This is coming in from south to north and then maybe making a slight turn once it makes, gets close to land, making landfall. It is very close, and it could be very close to Charlie. I never thought I'd be saying this at this point in time, but it may even be worse because Charlie moved quickly, and Charlie was a compact storm. It moved so fast that Orlando received hurricane force wind, meaning the time it took between it hitting the coast and getting into the Orlando area, it went from a major hurricane, and it was still a Cat 1 or even a small Cat 2 as it made its way into the Orlando area. The difference is this one's moving slower. So this one is going to give you a prolonged period of time in regards to wind and rain. You're going to see more wind with this in regards to Charlie, and you're going to see about the same wind speed, but you're going to be seeing it and feeling it for a long period of time as this moves slowly once it gets on the coast.
An area that I love that I have been thinking about. I love visiting Tarpon Springs. Do you love Tarpon Springs?
I must say, there's an arcade with a lot of pinballs there called the Replay Museum, and I'll give him a shout out.
If there's a pinball machine in Florida, Eric knows where it is, okay?
Yep.
And we love Tarpon Springs.
Yes.
And I want to get to this comment from AG, #AJB. What's your opinion on what we're going to get at the sponge docks in Tarpon Springs in Pinellas County? I heard you possibly say that it could wobble. That's why we have the wobble tracker. And so let me explain one more time the wobble tracker. I'll talk about the wobble. You can talk about Tarpon Springs and the sponge docks. So the wobble tracker, we are showing this to you now so that you know it is here tomorrow and into Wednesday night, into Thursday morning, because wobbles are most important as it, of course, gets closer to the coast and as we're nearing a landfall. This storm has made landfall already. It made landfall in western Cuba. We are going to be in landfall coverage at some point, likely what time tomorrow would you say?
Tomorrow, late afternoon into the evening.
Yeah, so
between 5 and 8.
Time tomorrow, we are in landfall coverage, and the wobble tracker is going to be an invaluable resource for us to look at how it's wobbling off the track, because the line shows us what we're expecting. The eye of the storm is what's actually happening, and expectations and reality don't always align, and that's why we have the wobble tracker. As far as the sponge docks in Tarpon Springs, what do we say for AG on our YouTube comment section?
Well, the good news is this storm is moving way to your south. So once again, the water is going to be pushed away from your area. It's going to be pushed from the coast into the Gulf. Now, they're still predicting a possibility of 3 to 5 foot storm surge, but given this track, I don't really see that happening because, again, the wind is going to be coming from the east. So it's going to be blowing water away from where you're at and away. So even points west of 19 in Tarpon Springs, I don't think it's going to be nearly as bad as what was previously expected. Now, in regards to the wobble tracker, once this gets over land, see how easy it is to see the center of circulation, right? Because you can see the eye. But once this gets over land, the eye fills in within an hour, right? It starts to, it starts to weaken and lose its structure immediately. So it's going to be harder once this is on land to kind of track exactly maybe where the center of circulation is compared to saying, oh, wow, I see the eye. I can see a definite wobble here or there. So, yes, the next 24 hours are going to be key in watching this wobble tracker and watching to see how close this follows along the projected path.
Let's go to Ava Bandy next in our comment section. Hashtag HeyJB is Safety Harbor safe?
For the most part, I mean, it is pretty far to the north. So it does appear that, like, once again, if there's storm surge, it'll be very low. Unfortunately, the way this storm is moving, it will be pretty close to high tide along the West Coast, like the whole Bay Area, right? And so we are looking at, again, storm surge in that area, very, very low. That is good news. But we're going to get a lot of rain still. So there's going to be freshwater flooding. If your property or your house typically floods in a heavy thunderstorm in a typical rainy season day, then chances are you're going to have standing water and flooding in your property and in your neighborhood.
Mara K. Oh my goodness, I'm going to try here, folks. Give me a moment. Mara Kawaja 96. Hashtag KJB. Can we see the 6 o'clock advisory? Yeah, it's right here on your screen. You see above my head, 6 o'clock advisory in. And not much has changed with the pressure, 952 millibars.
Still the same. I'm surprised they're doing these.
That stayed the same?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm wondering if the Hurricane Center is going to be doing these advisories every single hour now.
They said, they said they would.
Okay, well, they did.
Well, and what they update wasn't clear other than position. They said the position updates would be on the hour.
Right.
That's all fine and dandy, but we want to know the stats,
So that's why the wobble, because I've noticed that the yellow faded line on the wobble graphic there was a little bit further to the north. So I guess that's an indication that they just updated because it's funny. You almost have to follow the wobble tracker 30 minutes to 45 minutes after the hour to see if it really did wobble, right, JB? Because if these tracks get updated every hour, now you really don't know if it wobbled over the past 20 minutes or so if you weren't looking at it. Very interesting.
That's a great point, because if you bring up the wobble tracker, and we will, that is an updated line.
Yeah, the blue. So you don't know over the past hour, did it kind of move off the track, or I mean, it kind of looks like it did a little bit. It looked like it went north, it wobbled back to the northeast. So
we will consult with the wobble tracker maestro, Jeff Biradelli, to see if we can bring you tracks on the advisories, not the hour by hour advisories, but the National Hurricane Center forecast cone updates, because that is going to give us a better indication of what those wobbles look like. Again, making a contrast and establishing a contrast between projections and reality. We're here with you in your hurricane headquarters on Tracking the Tropics. That right there, that's Eric Stone, everybody. I want to say former #1 pinball player on the planet, but you know what? You're #1 in my heart, Eric. #1 in my heart.
Thank you.
I don't want to Google the rankings. I know
I'm going to blush again.
He's
current world champion. You can say that. That is official.
When was the last time you went to a pinball tournament and you didn't finish in first?
Massachusetts in June, but I played a big tournament in Canada with 160 people in one, and then the World Championship in May, and I wound up winning that, and that's a pretty huge accomplishment right there. Pinball's like golf, right? Tiger Woods, back in the day, right? Jack Nicklaus, they're really good golfers, but they've won, what, one out of every X amount of big tournaments? You don't win every one. It's not like Tom Brady playing football, Oh, yeah, Tom Brady, he's going to win again. Every other year he wins a Super Bowl. Pinball's very much, it's very variable like golf. You've got this big group of players, and typically the same 15 players or so make it to the top, and whoever has the better day, right, is the one who wins. So that is typically how pinball works. It's really hard to win, to be number one consistently, win tournaments every single time.
Let me explain why this is important for the people just tuning in and being like, why are they talking on Tracking the Tropics about the fact that he is a world-recognized pinball player? He gets how things bounce. He gets angles, does Eric Stone. It's part of why he's such a phenomenal meteorologist, and we're lucky to have him here on Tracking the Tropics. No Limit Productions, #HJB. What is the update for Fort Myers? Fort Myers?
Fort Myers. I just texted a friend of mine, a photographer that is stationed on Sanibel, ready to be out and about. And I said, man, I said 8 to 12 foot storm surge in the Fort Myers area, Lee County Islands, Estero Island. It's definitely some pretty strong hurricane force wind in the Fort Myers area. And the hurricane warning has been extended into Collier County. And that does include Marco Island and Naples, with possibly 8 to 12 foot storm surge along Collier County as well.
I think we're establishing, we can't use it yet, but we will have camera access from Marco Island. I think that's going to be really interesting tomorrow.
Yes.
We're working on being able to bring that to you. That's not one of our normal cameras, but we're trying to get that live access for you.
Naples
so that you
Pier's
can see
a good one too, JB.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you got to wonder how long these cameras are going to hold up. We have been on hurricane coverage in the past on Tracking the Tropics. All of a sudden, a camera signal will go out. It's kind of eerie. It's kind of ominous. It makes your heart sink because you're thinking about, okay, there was a camera mounted up on a light pole somewhere, and all of a sudden the signal went dark. Could that be because it lost power, or is that because it just got, flung into this storm? It got detached from the pole. We'll try to bring you as many live camera shots tomorrow when we are in full coast monitoring mode here on Tracking the Tropics. As far as we're talking about Punta Gorda, we're talking about Fort Myers, we're talking about Venice, really all those areas as far as where the worst impacts are going to be felt. David Crane wants to know, as do I, what is the time frame for the storm surge to rescind in those likely to be worst hit areas?
Even when Elsa hit and Cape Coral picked up 7 inches of rain within 4 to 5 hours, it took a day just for that water to recede back into the canals, okay? That wasn't even storm surge. That was freshwater rain. I mean, 8 to 12 foot of storm surge, when you're talking about the, Captiva, Sanibel, the islands off of Lee and even in Charlotte County, Cape Hayes, Boca Grande area. I mean, and even Points Inland, it can take days. We saw with Hurricane Sandy how long it took. We saw days later when the sun was out on the Jersey Shore. Do you remember seeing those pictures? We saw the water still on the roadways a couple of days later. And yes, that can happen. Especially the big thing is, you know why hurricane season really stinks? Is because it happens right after our rainy season. It happens at the tail end of rainy season, right? We pick up 20, 30, 40 inches of rain, more than that, in rainy season. And now we've got a hurricane that's dumping another 20 inches of rain. It'd be different if hurricane season was February, March, April, and a hurricane hit in April, and the ground is dry, right? It would soak up. We wouldn't see as much flooding. But now, on the tail end of rainy season, I mean, the flood potential is just astronomical. And now I forgot the question because I was so into what I was saying, JB. But for Punta Gorda, Fort Myers, being on the south end of the storm.
How long it will take for the storm surge to rescind.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's definitely going to take days in some spots. I'm not saying everywhere, but some spots.
I have an important update that I have to read here. This was printed out by our team, and I have to put this out to folks in Pinellas County on those barrier islands and the islands that are, of course, those are the islands and the beaches really that have that beautiful view of the Gulf of Mexico and our gorgeous sunsets here in the area. Pinellas deputies are going to be closing access to the barrier islands from Tierra Verde to the Dunedin Causeway. Residents can still leave. However, this is the big thing to note. Whether residents have a re-entry pass or not, they will not be permitted to re-enter those barrier islands until after the storm passes and law enforcement has determined it safe to reopen. Basically, what that means is you might have printed out a pass that says that you are able to go back to those barrier islands in Pinellas County. You see them kind of there west of St. Pete, there in Pinellas County. Even if you have that fancy piece of paper that says, I have the right to be here, this rescinds that. You can no longer go back to those barrier islands in Pinellas County. And we might be seeing similar emails like this that let us know that even if you have something, some document that says you have the right to be here, they don't care what piece of paper that you have in your hand. You're not going to be allowed into an area where it's potentially threatening to your life. And I'm not surprised to see this come into our newsroom a short time ago.
Yeah, definitely not. And I don't know if does that include Honeymoon Island up there? Is that where Dunedin Causeway leads to? I believe that's offshore of either northern Pinellas or southern Pasco County. But definitely, if you're on one of those islands anyway, I mean, come on, we've got a major hurricane coming.
Well, and we're talking about it too here with Marshall. Now this is more north now, but Indian Rocks Beach, is an area that is going to see impacts. It's just a matter of how dramatic those impacts are. Yeah,
and it all depends on the track. I mean, the farther south the track takes, the lesser storm surge. Right now, it's looking 4, 5, 6 foot storm surge at best. And again, once the storm, reaches land, the wind is going to be out of the east, right? Up in the Pinellas County beaches, because it's going to be north of the storm. That's where you're located. So we're going to be seeing that wind pushing the water away. So again, but you do have the intercoastal. So yet again, there's so much water. You can't just say, well, there won't be any storm surge, because you've got bays, you've got all sorts of waterways where, storm surge will be an issue. Intercoastal, obviously, an issue as well. So there will be some water that comes over. I'm not sure the name of that, whatever that main road is that goes from St. Pete Beach all the way up to Clearwater Beach. But again, the road will be covered with water.
I saw somebody just kind of wobbling on our live feeds, like staying loose and staying ready.
Yeah, I think they wobbled to the east.
I'm gonna give our YouTube and Facebook commenters just a quick opportunity to guess which reporter was just very, very animated with her movements, just trying to stay loose, trying to stay ready, trying to stay prepared, because it's a person that our commenters, I'm sure, know quite well as far as the people here, the personalities at WFLA. I will allow our commenters to get in a possible guest there, but we'll go to Tammy here in the meantime. Hashtag HJB prayers for everyone. Can you list the shelters that accept pets? A lot of people won't leave because they don't want to leave their fur babies. I know I wouldn't. I don't blame you. I just got an update from my wife regarding our cats, and they are terrified because they have been moved to a different location. My wife has been moved to a different location, and so they are totally just weirded out by what's going on. But as far as the shelters, most shelters, just about every shelter, but we have these details, I believe, on WFLA.com. If not, we can try to clarify for you. But I believe that just about every shelter is going to be able to accept pets, provided that, of course, if you have a dog that remains, on a leash. It's all about avoiding disruption. So if you have a pet that's kept in a carrier, these are things that are going to make it easier for you as far as being in a shelter where, again, it's about avoiding drama, avoiding disruption, and increasing safety as much as possible.
Yeah, JB, there's only certain shelters that accept pets. And I know that there are a number of them that don't. So you want to check. I mean, I don't want to say it's too late. It's not quite too late, but
I think that a majority do, but there are some that might not.
Same thing with hotels. I know some people, they'll go to a hotel, and you got to make sure that they'll allow your pet. But in regards to the shelters, a lot of times the shelters will take your pets and take care of the pets. You don't really have access at all times to your pet. So that's another thing that you have to ask and make sure of, because I've heard stories where they brought their dog in or cat in, and that was it. They didn't see them until they were released from the shelter. They were being taken care of by other people.
To the surprise of, I think it's just funny. I'm reading the commenters, guessing who that person was, and yeah, everyone guessed right. No one got this wrong. Everyone guessed that it was Masa Saidi, and they are correct. And Masa is going to be joining us here momentarily. She's standing on a dock in Sarasota Bay. I'm monitoring her shot. She's just kind of tap dancing. And this is how us reporters. Can I bring it up, or would she be mad?
I'll bring it up. She won't be mad.
She might be a little.
She's
mad.
a good sport.
Is she a good sport?
Yes.
All right. Well,
she's a good sport.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bring up the shot, and I'm gonna monitor it just to make sure. She's gonna get me for this later.
She'll never know.
She's with one of our best photojournalists, that being Jim Hockett. And she's just, it's funny because reporters that are in storm coverage, you have to find ways to stay alert and stay energetic and deliver that information. And people have their own ways of doing it. Masa, they're staring at here. Look, I'll show it to you, folks.
All right, here we are.
This is the live feed, but she's over here to the left, and she is moving a lot. She's very animated, so it caught my eye on one of the screens here in the stream center. We'll come back to Masa in just a little bit. You can see already wet out there. Let's go back to some of the comments and the questions that are coming in out of the Facebook Live and YouTube Live comment section. And I don't have any in the queue right now, which means I go right to the most current comments that are coming in. This is a good one. Hopefully we have this graphic ready, or somewhat on the ready, because we have put it up on screen before, Eric.
Which one?
Melanie wants to see the wind speed timeline. Can you show the wind speed timeline? Do we have that graphic on the ready?
Yeah. Does it say where she's from? No.
It doesn't say where she's from, but this is a very helpful graphic for sure.
Yes, it is. And I think it's because we're so far away from our box that sometimes I have to just keep on clicking the button. I can see the computer screen behind me. We're on the spaghetti plots. We're on that. Yeah, it's a few graphics up, but there's a so there's two graphics. There's this one right here, which I think is very, very informative. So the yellow is tropical storm force wind. So we're looking at the overnight hours, and we're seeing, look at that wind field. Look how many miles that is. That's over 200 miles between the western end of tropical storm force wind and the eastern end. You know what? I'm gonna go behind me and put a ruler on this and see just how many miles this is. All right. So this is, look at that. That is insane. That is 276 miles of tropical storm force. Can you believe that, JB?
No.
That's crazy. 276 miles of tropical storm force wind. From east to west, and I'm sure north to south is very similar. And of course, that 276 is going to stay there. But don't
Is
pay.
it growing? It's growing.
Is it?
Or resuming in?
No. You might be right. Let's see.
Yep.
Almost 300. Almost 300 miles.
Why?
300 miles. That is over what? 2 peninsulas? I don't even know if it's 150 miles across the state. That's crazy.
What is the width of the peninsula at its widest? Width of Florida in miles. Yeah, it comes up in Google.
Does it? Okay. I was going to say I can put a ruler on that.
I believe you. Oh, yeah. Let's see if Google's right. Google is telling me that the Florida peninsula.
That's 134.
At its widest point.
140.
Oh, wait. That's the state. No, my numbers are incorrect.
Yeah, this was
giving me the width of the entire.
So the width of the peninsula at the widest point, from what I'm seeing, is over 140 miles, less than 150 miles. The tropical storm force wind field is 300 miles. That is crazy. That is nuts. Okay, back to the timing. Now let me clear these arrows. All right, now we got the mess off the screen. The real mess is the wind. All right. In a severe thunderstorm, if the wind is 60 miles per hour or more, we call it a severe thunderstorm. That's why we have the orange line, severe wind. All right. We're into Wednesday morning, and we're already seeing Englewood, South, Northport almost in Charlotte County to hurricane force wind as early as lunchtime, right? lunchtime tomorrow, we're seeing hurricane force wind possible in Englewood, Sarasota County, all of Sarasota later on in the afternoon between 3 and 4 o'clock. But then it shrinks, right? Now, even though you see the category 4, that was the previous spot out in the Gulf of Mexico. By the time the next time comes in, it goes to a 1. So it weakens from a 4 to a 1. So don't think it's going to be a category 4 in Sarasota County, because it won't. It'll be a category 1. And you see the hurricane force winds shrink. You don't even see them in the metro area of Tampa, but you do see 60 plus miles per hour in the Tampa metro area all the way through 8 o'clock Thursday morning. My gosh, we're over 24 hours of 60 mile an hour wind in Tampa. That's a little crazy. And again, you know, as you go to tropical storm force wind, it sticks around all the way through the first part of Friday. Now, I've got a better graphic that actually, let me see, is this the one I want, or is this not the one I want? One of them used to have wind speed, and they may have changed. This is our in-house model. Look at the in-house model. That takes the eye of the storm right through Charlotte Harbor. Look at that, JB. This is like a Charlie all over again, except the strongest of the rain is to the northwest of the storm. As you can see, the purples and the reds that inundate the Tampa Bay area all the way through Thursday and into the afternoon. And again, this is the latest rainfall total of over 2 feet in parts of Sarasota, eastern Manatee, northern Polk counties. Here in Tampa, upwards of 10 to 15 inches of rain, over a foot of rain. So that should answer all questions, at least in regards to the last one.
Yeah, this graphic is eerie to me because of that 24 inches section in multiple areas. Look at that, folks. 24 inches of rain in a few spots. I mean, they're north of Lakeland, east of and northeast of Sarasota. It's a lot of rain.
Yeah.
That's 2 feet of rain.
Yeah.
And as Eric has been reminding us repeatedly, this is an area of the state that has been, and really the Florida Peninsula has been, rained on. We're coming off the busy part of rain season here for us. So saturated ground, 2 feet of water getting dumped on from the skies above, not to mention the storm surge. That's why the coastal areas are going to get hit so hard. They're getting rain from above, they're getting rain from the Gulf, and they're talking about already previously saturated grounds. Look, Punta Gorda is a place I'm looking at, and I'm just my heart is starting to sink for the folks there, and I hope that people, are taking evacuation notices seriously. And I'm talking about Englewood, I'm talking about Boca Grande, I'm talking about Cape Coral and Fort Myers and Port Charlotte. I mean, these are areas that are in for a rough 36 hours, Eric.
Yes, definitely. I mean,
more than that, really, yeah, because of the aftermath of the storm. So
yeah, I don't think it'll last as long though in Southwest Florida, because the storm doesn't really slow down until it makes landfall in the Venice area and then moves slowly northward into Polk County. So I do think Fort Myers area. And a lot of Southwest Florida, maybe not Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte, maybe not Charlotte County, but Lee County southward will be a typical hurricane where they'll have the several hours, but not as many hours. And you can see the rainfall amounts. If you look, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop open this graphic and I'm going to move it down so you can see Southwest Florida. Hopefully you can pick up my voice from over here. I'll yell a little bit.
I got you on the wireless mic.
Oh, excellent. So what I'll do is I'll expand this out. What we'll do just like this, and you can see that in Fort Myers, which is this general area, you're looking at, I don't want to say only, but 6 to 10 inches, because the storm is moving way over here. I don't know if you can see the little hand on the screen here, but anyway, you have that wide swath right around the Englewood and Northport area. That's 10 to 16 inches or even more. And then once you get into Arcadia, look at that, 4 to 8 inches. So again, you get into this busy area where the storm starts to slow down, and all of a sudden you're talking about 16 to 20 inches. Now you're, Polk County, you're near Orlando, and you're starting to see this area here while the storm's slowing down of, 24 inches or more. So again, there's a big difference because of how fast the storm is moving. A big difference from Southwest Florida, even all the way down toward the Naples area, picking up, 5 to 8 inches of rain because the storm's not moving slow right now. But once it starts moving slow, it doesn't take much of a slow movement to really have this rain pick up into the 2-foot range. And look at that. It goes all the way to, not quite to Jacksonville, but, near St. Augustine, maybe Flagler County, seeing 24 inches or even more out of the storm. So it's quite impressive in a bad way, I should say, but it's quite impressive to see that.
We're standing by for a live report from our own Masa Saidi, who I believe is on the ready to join us from Sarasota Bay, and we will be getting to Masa here in just a moment. If you're just joining us, JB, Eric Stone, and soon to be joined by Masa Saidi here with you live on WFLA Now, live on Tracking the Tropics. Masa, if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up so I can make sure that you are called in. Okay, so let's introduce our audience to. Yeah, there she is. Masa Saidi here with us live on screen. Masa, you're live across all platforms on WFLA Now. Great to see a friendly face. Masa, tell us exactly where you're standing and what is going on where you are standing.
Okay, what's going on is I'm holding on a little bit tight because Jim has me out here. It makes me a little bit nervous on this pier, but completely safe. So I am standing right next to the bridge that takes you to and from Anna Maria Island. You can see that the bridge is still open, but my understanding is that it's going to be shut down very soon. Give me a second. I just want to press mute because I have some feedback. Oops, nope, I still have the feedback. Okay. But yeah, we have spent the day talking to people that are in communities that are at risk, whether it's people on the barrier islands. JB, you know this. Of course, anyone on the island is going to be at risk when Hurricane Ian hits. And we've also spent the day speaking with people in mobile home structures, and all across this county. We've stopped by 3 mobile home communities and really talking to people, JB, about why they are choosing to stay behind when officials have a mandatory evacuation order in place for anyone in a mobile home. They say it doesn't matter where the mobile home is located. Of course, that is the last place that you're going to want to be when this storm hits. And officials say that we could start to feel the impacts of Hurricane Ian as early as midnight tonight, JB.
All right, Masa is joining us. Hopefully we have the audio problem fixed in your ear, Masa.
It is. It's fixed now. Sorry about that.
Yeah, well, what's the mood there? You've been speaking to people, and obviously there has been this roller coaster of emotions here in the Tampa Bay area because of these track shifts, and people who are on the good side of the storm, even though they're not in the clear yet, they're feeling better about their prospects, while people who are on the bad side of the storm just really starting to brace for a very, very eventful next 24 to 36 hours. What would you say the mood is where you are?
I mean, it's exactly as you said, JB. It has been a roller coaster of emotions throughout the day. I can tell you right now, people are feeling pretty good. They say that they're closely watching the forecast. And, folks here, everyone is pretty much a meteorologist. They've been living by the water in Florida for 30 years. And they say that the storm surge is not going to be more than 4 or 5 feet, when earlier they were concerned that the storm surge could be up to 15 feet. So there are some folks over here that are just hanging out, drinking, it appears, by the water. We're talking to some business owners here as well. They have secured all of their belongings, taken everything out and moved it further inland. So people are feeling pretty good right now. I can tell you that, it really did break my heart earlier when I was in some of the senior communities, the mobile home communities. And I talked with this one woman. Her name was Cozy, and she was going to be riding out the storm. And at the time, we still thought that Manatee was going to be taking on a more direct hit. And I don't want to say that it's, there's still going to be a significant impact. You still should not stay behind and ride this out in a manufactured home. But this woman explained to me how her husband, that she has been with for decades, has had 5 surgeries since July, that he has an open wound, and they're not going to go to a shelter. They don't want to go anywhere. So they're just praying, and we're praying for them as well, JB. So I'm comforted by the fact that it appears that this might not be just as historically horrific as we had thought.
Masa bringing up a good point that everybody has a story, and it's not just for some people. It's not as simple as black and white or just stubbornness at being the reason why they don't want to leave. I couldn't help but chuckle that Masa talking about how everybody in the area thinks that they're a meteorologist. Eric, you okay with that? Everybody in the area thinking they're a meteorologist?
Oh yeah, yet they still ask me all the questions, but yes.
Masa, check on you. Of course, our comment section has lit up with some very kind and loving comments for you, seeing
you
where you are. Normally, Masa is our, you don't want to be on the opposite end of her investigations. And so she's usually asking the really hard, difficult questions to some, of the people in power in our state. She's here doing storm coverage for us. So Masa, what have you packed? How are you doing out there? What is it like being a reporter out covering the system, at least the day before really its arrival?
Well, there's nowhere else I would want to be than doing exactly what I'm doing right now. Before I was an investigative reporter, I was general assignment at my heart. If something is happening, I want to be covering it for our community. I want to be informing our viewers. So what did I pack? I packed a lot of really comfortable clothes. I love that I don't have to be wearing dresses now and be in studio. I'm free. I can wear jeans and I can be out here in the field. And I love to just speak with people here in the community. And I'm here with Jim Hockett, my partner. And, I have covered hurricanes before, but never in Florida. And I know I'm with Jim. I know I'm in good hands. We're going to be showing you what's happening as it unfolds, but we're always going to make sure that, we stay safe. So it's really my privilege and honor to be here and to be able to hopefully help people get them ready for the storm. One guy I spoke with, one gentleman, he didn't know that he was in an area that was under a mandatory evacuation. I've given these seniors my personal cell phone. If they need help finding a shelter, we're going to help them find that, if things get scary or bad down the road. So thanks for asking, JB.
Masa, you said that there were some folks to your right. Who are they? Do they want?
They're hanging out.
Are they up for a live interview? I have to. That's the question.
Yeah, yes.
Be safe. Watch your step,
I
Masa.
was. Yeah, yep. I'm gonna watch out. Yeah. Who wants to be on TV? Hold on. Let me walk over. Do you want to be on? Come here. Let's do a live interview.
Welcome to live streaming, folks.
Come on, guys. No? What about you? I'll make you a star. Are they coming? Oh, wait, please. No? Okay, so they're shy. Maybe they just had... They're a little bit shy. I know, because they can't see me.
They said
because
no?
they can't see me very well. They said no because they're too far in the distance.
All right, then.
But hey, you want me to find you an interview? I could try to find you one, but...
Let's walk around. Let's
walk around.
I'm very much
let's do it.
Look, I take the script, I take it, and we throw it up in the air, and we...
Yeah.
We're just rolling.
Well, let's see if we can see anyone out and about. Can see anyone out. So I'm here with Jim, and here we are. We're going to be walking into this mobile home community that is under a mandatory evacuation. And again, people are not leaving. Some people are not leaving. Some have very compelling reasons. Gosh, this is a very beautiful community. You can see they have little manufactured lawns. It says right there, "Welcome to Paradise." I don't see cars in the driveway. It's looking a little quiet here. Now, we have been trying to switch up our live location for every hit, so we haven't had a chance to knock on these doors to see who's actually here or make that connection, but
Masa,
I don't want to knock on...
Masa, we have to acknowledge it's a good thing you're not finding anybody. This is a positive.
Yes, that is a good thing. Thank you. Yes, there is. Okay, maybe somebody's in there. See, I don't want to go knocking on a door. If somebody's out, I'll say, yoo-hoo. But I don't want to go knocking on a door alive. You know what I mean? So here we go. Let's go over here. Looks like, look, this is some good news. Yes. Well, look here. First of all, this is the most beautiful community. This is absolutely adorable. Do you see the flavor that these homes have? But look, this is the type of thing where if a hurricane comes, you don't want this tree to land on your manufactured home, right? That's going to be bad news there. So, I'm looking. I don't see okay, this lights are on over here, but So lights are on. These folks are home, but they're not out. I don't think anyone's going to come out when they see me.
It's a ghost town, Masa.
Yeah,
this is making me feel better.
It's a ghost town. This is fabulous. And look, they have a home is boarded up back here. We'll take you over there. So we're taking you all around. It is a ghost town, JB. Now these folks are so incredibly close to the water, and the other place we saw at least 20 seniors. Isn't that right, Jim? At the other mobile home community, wouldn't you say we saw at least 20 seniors?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, more than 20 seniors at the other community. That was about 6 miles from the coast. But yeah, I mean, it looks like we just saw one person that had the lights on, and then there was a group that was having a little party out there. We should have just gone up to them earlier. We've been like playing with them back and forth, huh?
You can't get over there yet.
Yo, you can't get over there? Okay. So we're just going to keep walking down here. Let's see what's happening over here. But yeah, you know, that's really the thing that officials want you to know. If you're in Zone A, if you're in Zone B, they want you to make sure to get out, because at a certain point, JB, you know this, if trouble comes, they're not going to be able to save you. Jim, you can show up here. These homeowners, they boarded up their house. So so they've boarded up their house. But I'm always surprised at all the people that haven't. They're covering up their cars. Hopefully that will protect it. I can see lights on over here as well. So these people have also decided to stay behind and, you know, ride out Hurricane Ian. But yeah, so I don't know what else to say, JB, but at midnight tonight is when, oh wait, there's somebody there.
There is somebody.
Hold on. Can I talk to you for Channel 8? No? Okay. No worries. Do you know anyone that wants to talk to me? What was that? Oh, there's 12 of you left? Okay.
That's why we were all sitting down there.
Oh, hanging out. Yeah. Do any of them want to talk to me about the storm? We're on WFLA now. It's like the online.
They're all gone.
Oh, they all left? Oh.
Back to their houses.
Oh, all right. Okay, take care. Stay safe. Okay, so right there you heard, JB, about 12 people. How many people? It's just more than 100 homes, right, Jim? More.
Not quite that many.
Okay, maybe less than 100, but about 12 people. So what is that? Like 10% have decided to stay behind, and all of them a little bit shy right now. I don't know what to tell you, JB. I've been turned down.
No. This was a helpful exercise, to say the least, Masa. And kudos to you and Jim. You know me. I'm a troublemaker, right? Masa, you know I'm a troublemaker.
That's not true. You're the nicest person that kills trouble with joy and kindness. I don't know. I am a troublemaker. I am a trouble. We all know that.
Well, we're both. I think that's why we get along, is that we're both a little bit troublemakers. Here's what I want you to do. He's going to kill me, but I want you to take.
Can you want to be on WFLA now? Oh, just really quick. I'm Masa from Channel 8. What's your name?
My name's Steve.
Steve, we're on WFLA now. It's the online version. So we're just talking to folks about how they're feeling ahead of Hurricane Ian.
Car's loaded. The dog and I are ready to go at any time we need to get out of here. We're going into town to a friend's home if we need to. And, you know, at this point, we're just hanging out, waiting to see what happens.
And are you a Floridian?
Yes, here full time. So, seen things come and go. So we'll just hang around, see what happens.
How long have you lived in Florida?
Permanently for 3 years now. Part of that snowbird for about 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever been here during a hurricane?
Yes. Yeah.
Which one? Tell me about it.
Oh gosh, don't even. It was the one that came in late November a couple years ago.
Irma, right?
Was that the Irma one?
No,
Yeah,
Elsa.
But yeah, and we
Ada or
survived,
Elsa?
had a lot of water around and everything, but other than that, you know, we were okay. We were good.
And talk to me about, I mean, the track has shifted a little bit, so we're in a little bit of a better shape.
Yes, right here we are. It looks like Cape Coral is going to be the center at this point.
And
I was just watching the Weather Channel, so.
You got to watch Channel 8 from now on. Maybe you will.
I will, possibly. Yes.
Anything else that you want to say about, like, a lot of people did leave, but you're ready to go if things get hairy?
We're, like I said, the dog and I are packed up and ready to get out of here. So, but we're just, you know, we're in the wait and see mode right now. So.
Anything else you want to say about Ian? Anything to our viewers?
Stay safe and take care.
You take care too, my friend. God bless you. Thank you so much for talking with me. Yeah, you too, sir. So there you have it. I got an interview for you, JB. My streak is still working. So yeah, I didn't know what storm he was talking about. Sorry, I've only been here since 2019. So
You know what's so funny about Masa is that when she's a bulldog when she has her investigator cap on, but when she's out and just talking with people,
you know,
she might be the nicest person you'll ever come across.
I've only been here for a year, and this is the first time I've seen her smile. I mean, I understand why she doesn't. I understand why she doesn't smile normally, but it
they don't let me smile.
It is nice to see this out of you.
Agreed.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
So this is the troublemaking part.
Yes,
and
tell me.
Just because, you know, Jim is a dear friend of both of ours, Masa, and Jim
Yep.
Hockett is one of my favorite people at WFLA.
Yep.
And so he's gonna
he's
kill me.
amazing. They're talking good things about you. What? Tell me.
And guess what? He's gonna hate me for
What?
doing this, and I don't care. But
What?
ask Jim how many years of experience does he have covering that area specifically, Sarasota?
Let me ask him right now. Hey, Jim, how many years of experience do you have covering Sarasota?
35 or so.
Masa, this is the part where you.
I mean, I was
interview
born and
Jim
raised in Sarasota,
about
so I
being
guess
a
all my life.
photographer in hurricanes.
Okay.
For being a cameraman,
I'll
what
interview
goes into
him.
the job?
Yeah. You know, Jim, they want to hear from you. They want to know, based on the decades of experience. And by the way, you don't look a day over, 40.
Very
but
true.
based on the decades of experience that you have, they want you to just kind of talk about, how you get ready to cover a hurricane and what the process is like for you.
Well, the most important thing is to continually watch for the updates because we have to know where it's going, when it's coming in, what time it's coming in, so we can plan for where we want to be stationed. Because once the storm hits, we want to be locked down in one spot. We don't want to be moving around. We don't want to be driving or anything like that. We want to be in one spot. So we have to know where we want to go, and that's all dependent on where the storm's going.
And, in all the years that you've been covering hurricanes for us here, Jim Hockett, photojournalist, and my partner at Channel 8, have things ever gotten hairy?
Oh, sure. Sure, because weather's unpredictable. No matter what preparations we do, we can't be prepared for everything. There's always going to be something that we're unexpected.
Yeah.
Whether it's high floodwaters or the winds or debris flying around through the air.
Are you laughing at us now? We're interviewing each other. Here's my friend. You want a picture? Are you laughing at us, sir? We're interviewing each other now. That's what we're up to. You want to take a picture? Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. I'll help you. No, but you just got to invert it. We got to face the light.
Okay.
Just a really quick selfie here. You got to go like that. Okay. Yep.
Oh,
and now
there
there we go. And then now I can do it. You want me to do it? I'm a pro at this.
He's got to watch
sir.
Channel 8 now.
Yeah. I am a pro. This is how you do it. Okay, we'll do 1, 2, 3, smile. Now look at this hole. So we're both looking at the same place.
Okay.
So 1, 2, and 3. There.
Good. Well, thank you.
Thank you. There you go.
safe.
Thank you so much.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. Yeah, so that gentleman, he's like, this crazy news crew. First they cornered me, then they were interviewing each other. But anyway, yes, we just did a selfie, and you saw I had the perfect technique for that selfie. You got to go up, tilt down, smile. But yeah, back to your coverage, Jim. What's in store for us? What are we doing now?
Well, we're going to take a break now. We've been working all day, and we have to be ready and fresh tomorrow.
That's right.
Because we're probably going to be on a very long 24, 48-hour shift.
Yeah.
Depending on what this storm does. Because if it's as stalled out as they say it's going to be, and it's going to take longer to come through,
Yeah.
And
if I can tell you guys, so the newsroom sends out, this is your 12-hour shift. But the truth is, when the storm, we're going to start working at 9 a.m. If there's something to be gathering, we're going to be getting to work at 9 a.m. So the rain is starting to come down a little bit. I know my plan is to go to the gym and to also get some healthy treats at the grocery store. Yeah, that's our plan, guys.
Masa and Jim, a dynamic duo of not just investigative journalism, but storm coverage here at WFLA.
Love it.
Masa, do me the kindness of please telling Jim. I'm thinking of you guys, both of you guys and Jim, because Jim and I are like two peas in a pod in this newsroom. We're always together.
It's true.
So
It's
just tell
true.
him
You are.
I'm passing on my very best, my love, and stay safe out there.
I will.
Okay?
And my love to both of you. Bye, guys. Bye, everyone. Mwah. Take care. Stay
Masa
safe.
Saidi, everybody, here with us live on WFLA Now. I promised everybody that you tune into our stream, you never know what you're going to get, and we are going to get back to things like the real-time wobble tracker, but we got to introduce to our audience, everybody, here he is, Max Defender 8 Chief Meteorologist Jeff Biridelli, who sits down with us now in the stream center. And Jeff, we were just watching Masa and Jim and talking about how she was trying to find people out there in that community, and it was a ghost town.
That's
and that's
great.
exactly
That's great. That's
what we
want
to
to
see.
That's definitely what we want to see for sure. I'm glad to see that. Yeah, we should be in that area, especially the further south you go, concerned to the point where you do evacuate. I mean, this has all the markings of a Hurricane Charlie. Eric, I see Eric saying, yeah. I mean, those two storms are alike. This will probably have more storm surge, but it's predicted to be a Cat 4 when it comes ashore, just like Charlie. And I saw wind gusts on our computer model up to 130 miles an hour. That's our in-house model forecasted for the extreme southern part of Sarasota County. But even Sarasota has wind gusts close to 100, if this is right, this track is right. And even St. Petersburg gets wind gusts to 80 miles an hour or so on it. The hurricane force winds in diameter are about 70 miles wide with the storm when it makes landfall. So if you draw a line, let's say it makes landfall around Englewood, and we don't know for sure if it's going to be south of that, north of that, but if you draw, so you go 35 miles north of Englewood, and you could see sustained tropical storm force winds. Again, it may not be Englewood. But then hurricane force wind gusts extend another 30 or 40 miles north of that. So even Pinellas County and Tampa, you might see hurricane force wind gusts. And actually that could be the case for Lakeland. In fact, it's becoming more and more likely that Arcadia, Wauchula, Bartow, maybe Lakeland, Haines City, Lake Wales, you might see hurricane force wind gusts head your way. In fact, it's predicted to be a Cat 1 once it gets into Polk County. So this is so reminiscent of Charlie. Of course, I will say this, and I will caution you that even if the storm looks exactly the same and it hits the same place, somehow, some way, the impacts end up being completely different. Would you agree with that, Eric?
Well, of course. I put the ruler on the tropical storm force wind, 300 miles from west to east. That is crazy. Yep. That means here in Tampa, we would have tropical storm force wind for about 24 hours.
And if you look at Charlie, and I can't tell you that I remember exactly, but I can tell you that the hurricane force winds were not 70 miles across. No way. Maybe 40 miles across. So
it was a lot smaller.
This storm is likely, in terms of its hurricane force winds and its tropical storm force winds, almost twice as big.
That's right. And it's moving 2 to 3 times as slower than Charlie.
Right, which is a big problem. But it's also good in one way. The one way is that because it's moving slower, by the time it gets to our inland counties like Polk County, it will have weakened more than Charlie did at the same time.
Right.
But that might be the only way. And what I find incredibly interesting, and then I'm going to have to go in a couple of minutes because I have the 7 o'clock show coming up. And by the way, on News Channel 8 at 7 p.m., I'm going to be interviewing Jamie Rome, who is the Deputy Director of the National Hurricane Center. And he is the premier storm surge expert when it comes to hurricanes in the world. That'll be at 7 o'clock on News Channel 8. So I don't mean to take any viewers away from you, JB, because I know you want them right here as well.
They're sick of me, Jeff. Come on now. You know it. I know it. I think everybody out there knows it. They're ready for a change of pace. Go watch Max Defender 8 Chief Meteorologist Jeff Biridelli on our broadcast television product, WFLA News Channel 8, your NBC station right here in Tampa Bay. Do you have time for questions and comments, or do you have to go?
I have one thing, and I want to say one thing and then one question.
Sure.
It just amazes me how the convergence on the west side of the storm is where the strongest winds are. When Englewood, when on the model, when Englewood gets its strongest wind gust, it's when the eye is already east and you're in the northwestern side. And as far as rainfall, again, northwestern side, which puts it right over Tampa Bay, parts of Hillsborough County, maybe southern Pinellas County, and out into Polk County, 15, maybe some places getting 20.
That's right.
Inches of rain.
I don't remember a hurricane having that characteristic. I mean, you always see it on the eastern side of the storm. One thing I do want to ask you, can we go back to the wobble model? I want to ask you, and I think I know the answer. Is this going through an eye wall regeneration process, or is this drier air somehow entering the south side of the storm?
It's a really good question. I think there's a couple things going on. I think the reason why the south side of the storm is less apparent is, number one, the Key West radar has to shoot through all of that really, really heavy rain. So on the south side, the eye wall is not quite as apparent. Even though the National Weather Service radars can shoot through and they don't attenuate very much, I think it may be a teeny bit of that happening. There is some dry air. There has been the whole time in the southern part of the eye wall. Whether it's going through an eye wall replacement cycle, I can't be sure at this point, Eric, but that is a good question. And I'm going to look it up and look to the experts at the National Hurricane Center. In fact, you know what? That's one question I will try to ask Jamie Rome at 7 o'clock. Yeah. So maybe one question, JB, and then I really got to get downstairs.
Let's get to this one quickly. Let's see here. Woe is Lahuchi? Hashtag hey Jeff, hashtag hey Eric. What's it looking like for northern Polk County areas? Will we see devastating flooding?
What is it looking at for northern Polk? Yeah, I mean, look, again, it depends on the exact track, but as Eric and I were talking about, it slows down when it moves inland. And not only that, but you should be on the northwest side of the track, which is going to be the part of the track with the heaviest rain. Add that up, and, I think we're talking probably easily 8 to 10 inches of rain, but I wouldn't be surprised to see some places somewhere get over 20 inches of rain. Some of the models have showed 30. I think that might be a bit of an overestimate.
Yeah, I mean, I would say at least locally 18 inches of rain, up to even 2 feet of rain, and hurricane force wind in northern Polk County, as it still will be a Category 1 in the Lakeland area.
All right, so before my producers yell at me, JB, and get down to the studio, I got to get down to the studio.
Yeah, and I want to point out something to you real quick, because Eric brought up a good point about half an hour ago with the wobble tracker. They're issuing hour-by-hour positional updates.
Yep, they are.
And so this might be updating hour by hour and not giving us the best accurate representation of wobbles.
We probably could go back and... Well, first of all, you can see the wobbles.
You can.
That's the white is the past track.
Right. We're talking about from
going forward. So you're exactly right. So going forward, they used to update every 3 hours. Now they update every hour. Yes, I got that for sure. At some point, maybe we can look back at some of the old National Hurricane Center tracks. When I say old, 3 hours ago, 6 hours ago, and then compare it to where the storm's gone to really get an indication of if this is going slightly east or west of the track. Okay.
As far as Jeff,
I gotta go.
You do your thing. Let me just explain to our audience about people who have commented and said that they'd be very interested to watch that interview that Jeff was just mentioning. Let me just remind our audience. Of course, if you have TV access in the Tampa Bay area, just flip your remotes to NBC, your NBC station in Tampa Bay. That's WFLA News Channel 8. You'll see that coming up at 7 o'clock. Otherwise, it'll be clipped and posted afterwards. You can watch it live on TV, or you can watch it online after, in fact, it happens. You'll see it on the WFLA YouTube page, Facebook Live, a couple other places as well. And I'm mentioning that because a lot of people have been asking. Eric.
Okay.
We're going to go back into Q&A mode.
Sounds good.
Let's just quickly talk about our coverage plan, folks, as far as the next half an hour or so. We have gotten a lot of comments about how people find it very, very refreshing for us to just kind of take an opportunity to step back from the storm and not, I don't want to say have fun, but just talk to you guys a little bit about just something that isn't Hurricane Ian for a little bit. So what we are going to do is we are going to spend the next 10 to 15 minutes just rapid fire going through as many Hurricane Ian questions as possible. And then what we're going to do is then just try to end our live streaming coverage for this particular session on a high note by just talking about something that isn't Hurricane Ian, because, look, we could answer your questions literally all day, and we kind of have. But what we would like to do is also remind you that mental health to me is so important, and just taking an opportunity to talk about something that isn't this, big, looming, ominous-looking, storm to our southwest. We're going to have an opportunity. Maybe we'll talk about pinball, your favorite pinball machine.
Definitely. Love
Maybe we will talk about, I don't know, something regarding me. I'm not as interesting as Eric is. But what we're going to do is we're going to do our very best to just kind of alleviate some of the stress and the anxiety that's out there by just trying to put a smile on your face. So let's get to some of the comments and some of the questions coming in, starting right now. Hashtag HeyJB or hashtag HeyEric questions and comments. And And let's see. I'll bring up this one from WRW Code. That's very, very kind of you. But we're going to try to get to a. Yeah, here we go. Just some of the comments that are coming in about.
7 o'clock update just came in.
7 o'clock update. Let's get to this
Look
first.
at the pressure difference. 5 millibars. Now we're down to 947.
So keeping track now.
We
How
were
much
at
have we lost?
961. When was that? 11 o'clock this morning?
And Bombo Genesis is
24 in 24 hours. This has gone 14 in a matter of 8 hours. It only needs to go down 10 more in the next, 16 hours? Look at that. 947. I would be willing to bet the 8 o'clock observation has a significant increase in wind, because I don't think we've seen an increase in wind since 2 o'clock.
And they might be saving that for the intermediary updates, which is on the 2 o'clock and 8 o'clock hours. So maybe that's what exactly is happening.
But you would wonder
here.
why some of it changes and other parts don't. It's not just the position if the pressure has dropped. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see at 8 o'clock.
All right, let's get to your questions and comments. Use a hashtag and to ask a question. It's that simple, folks. Family is the motive. Hashtag KJB. Thoughts on Haines City?
Yeah, Northeast Polk County. Definitely, this will be a Category 1 storm, according to this track, in eastern and northern Polk County around the Lakeland area. Probably in Haines City, Winter Haven, that area. Probably not going to see hurricane force wind. Probably not even hurricane force wind gusts. But again, rainfall in your area could at least be 14 to 18 inches, in fact, as this storm moves ever so slowly through Sarasota and eventually into Polk County. So, Haines City along, I believe, US 27, right before I-4. Definitely a good chance of a foot to a foot and a half of rain and a prolonged period of tropical storm wind.
WRW Code, hashtag AJB, with a very, very kind comment, and we really appreciate this. Streaming and doing interactive work, and what is interactive journalism? What it is of course, is bringing your comments on screen and having a conversation with you. TV is a one-way street. Interactive journalism and interactive streaming is a two-way street where we can, talk back and forth with you guys. So we really appreciate that. You can always, subscribe to the YouTube channel, or you can, of course, become a follower of the WFLA Facebook page or give a review to the WFLA Facebook page. All these things. I think some of the kindest things that can happen too is giving Eric a follow on social media or giving me a follow on social media. Just want to really take a moment to say thank you for all the kind comments. The comment section lit up with love for Masa too, which of course we cannot ignore. Hashtag HJB and Eric and Jeff from Z. I'm in Northport. What category hurricane will Ian be when it hits us?
Well, again, once this storm makes its way onshore, it looks like it will be a strong Category 3. I know very close to a Category 4, according to this cone. So in the Northport area, I would bet that it would be very close to a Category 3, passing pretty close to being over top of you. So yet again, a major hurricane hitting South Sarasota as well as Charlotte County, and it doesn't take long before it enters Charlotte County to get to Northport, right? It's only 10, 15 miles at most. So it's not going to weaken all that much between the, when it makes landfall and gets to Northport. So yes, major hurricane, at least a Category 3.
Let's get to the next comment coming in, and we're just, again, animating them on screen. Peb Metz, hashtag KJB. It appears with each update, the trends keep going southeast. It now appears it is possible the storm can cross over to the Atlantic. Fact or fiction, Eric?
No, unfortunately, that's fiction. So here's the thing. We've got a cold front that's trying to come down from the northern part of the state. You've got a hurricane that's trying to move toward, that is moving toward the cold front. So who wins, right? You can't, it's a battle. Well, this time of year, the cold fronts aren't that strong. So the hurricane's going to win. So it's going to continue to move northward, and it interacts with a hurricane. The hurricane interacts with a cold front. The problem is, well, the good news is you get a lot of wind shear from that front. So that's why the storm weakens so much. But it's also why it slows down, because it's trying to push through the cold front. The cold front doesn't have enough energy to push the hurricane into the Atlantic. So no, that's not going to happen.
We got some great questions coming in. We're talking about bombogenesis, okay?
Great.
We might be talking about people throwing the bomb emoji in our comment section this time tomorrow, because it's going to be such a profound, or have such a profound impact on the on the formation and the track. Or not the track, but the progression, rather, of Hurricane Ian. But Tina asks a really phenomenal question. Hashtag Hey Eric, does the lower pressure mean that it could be a Category 5 by landfall?
I don't think it's going to be a Category 5. I think that it just doesn't have enough water to work with between now and 24 hours from now. I mean, think about it, JB, and everybody watching. We're about 24 hours from landfall, okay?
Yep, this is it.
For it to go from a weak Category 3, and I don't mean a weak system. Let's put it this way. A low-end Category 3 to a Category 5 within 24 hours, it would have to drop another 20 plus. It would have to be in the 920 range, right? 920-ish range to get to a Category 5, in my opinion. I do think, the GFS, I'm going to say one thing. 9 days ago, the GFS had a 935 millibar major hurricane hitting Sarasota tomorrow, okay? It actually was dead on 9 to 10 days ago. And then all of a sudden, the track shifted. I say that because it had said, and I said, wow, 935.
Yep.
Man, that's going to be a Category 4. And I mean, reality, unfortunately, is that could happen. I think it does drop into the 930s. But remember, this is the time, the next 6 to 12 hours of rapid intensification before it starts to hit that wall of wind shear from that front. And it's going to stay steady for a little while, steady as she goes. And then once it interacts with land, bam, it's going to start losing that power quickly.
Let's get to this comment from Ivy Morales. And we're bouncing back and forth, by the way, from Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Hashtag Hey Eric, thoughts on Winter Springs, Seminole? Thanks for all that you do, Eric.
Oh, well, thank you. Seminole being in Pinellas County. Again, when you look at Pinellas County, it's very interesting. You can see right there, you've got water on your east, you've got water on your west. So you're going to be seeing the wind blowing from east to west. Seminole is slightly, it's almost right in the middle, but we'll still see some of that storm surge on the east side, parts of St. Petersburg to Pinellas Park, up 19, and even into the Clearwater area. Seminole's kind of right in the middle, but you're going to have definitely storm surge to the right, to the east, and to the west, and you're going to get a good 8 to 10 inches of rain in Pinellas County. So there's going to be a lot of floodwater. There's going to be a lot of streets that are impassable. And you're going to get a prolonged period of time with tropical storm force wind. It looks like at least hurricane force wind gusts. So that's gust over 75 miles per hour. So again, if I lived in Pinellas County, I don't know if I would stay. And I know zone A, B, and C in Pinellas County has been evacuated. But again, Pinellas is a little touchy.
Ashlyn Bigley, hashtag KJB. Hi. I was born and raised in the Palm Harbor, Clearwater area, but I'm currently living in the Orlando area. What do you think the conditions will look like between the time Ian makes landfall and makes its way to Orlando? And the track tells us a story in relation to this question, does it not?
It definitely does. You can see right there, by the time it makes its way on land as maybe a Category 4, 2 frames later, you see it as a tropical storm symbol right there. That's pretty much right over the Orlando area, all right? That's about a 24-hour period of time in a distance of, 3 or so hours of drive time, depending on traffic. So it is going to be not quite night and day, maybe night and dawn, because you got a major hurricane when it makes landfall. Charlie was still a Cat 2. I mean, it was pretty close to a Cat 2 when it made its way to Orlando. This is moving so slow, it's going to be a tropical storm. So the wind, not as much. But this is going to dump a lot more rain than Charlie did because of its slow movement. I can't stress that enough, especially inland, especially from inland Sarasota, Polk County, Hardy County, Hillsborough, inland Hillsborough, northern and eastern Polk, Osceola, Orange County, Marion, Flagler, all the way up to the East Coast. You're going to be seeing a good 18 to 24 inches with how slow this is moving.